What's up, everybody? So we got a special edition of DCAC Live today. Some would say a better version because there's no Navy individuals involved in this one. But today we're here to talk about the OVITA program and have two guys that are near and dear to my heart here, Skyler Eden and Mike Maggio. I'll let them introduce themselves here in a minute, but yeah, we're going to talk about the OVITA program today and kind of your guys' transition. And Skylar, why don't we start with you? Why don't you introduce yourself and maybe let's talk about how we all met.
Okay, yeah, glad to be here. Skyler Eden. I've been with Overwatch for 2 years, about 3 months now. Started in the Army, where I actually served with Mike Maggio and yourself, obviously. We'll talk about transition, I think, in a little bit, but project manager, and been here for 2 years now. So
Cool. What about you, Mike?
Hello, everyone. Name is Michael Maggio. I've been with Overwatch for about 6 months now. I'm a Scorpio. I'm doing fit outs for Overwatch, and it's been a pretty crazy transition. It's gone from about 0 to 100 pretty quick.
Yeah, best way to learn sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah.
So let's start where when we all first met. So I know for me, it was when I was on Rear D when you guys got back from Iraq and was hearing about all the awesomeness that was going to take place when everybody got back. And you guys will get a kick out of this, but I think you'll remember it. I remember, you guys showed back up and, I think it was I think Ames was my team leader and you were the squad leader when when I first got there. At least that was the setup at the time. And I remember, you guys coming up to me talking about, what had been going on. And I informed you about me getting smoked by Randy Light almost every night at the at the barracks. And found out that I didn't actually have to listen to him, but
That's a rite of passage, though.
yeah.
We got the same thing from a not very great E4 when we got there. Did the same thing. Just treated us horribly for like 2 weeks. And then everyone came back and they're like, you don't have to listen to that guy.
Oh, good. Just glad I wasn't the only one.
I feel like everybody gets. I think we got to clarify what smoking is, though, for most people. It's basically
Tasing.
Yeah. Not allowed anymore, I believe. So that's good.
Frowned upon.
I was squad leader, I believe, and you were reporting to Zach Ames right when you showed up. And what year was it? Is it 2000?
2010.
Okay, yeah. So we were about to go on another deployment.
Yeah.
Probably about a year after that.
Yeah. Yeah, I got there. It was, towards the end of summer of 2010, and you guys had been in Iraq, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we were in Baku, Iraq for, I think, the majority of the deployment.
Yeah, pretty much.
And were you guys on, when you were there, were you guys, like we were at a COP, right, and strong points most of the time. Were you guys at like a FOB? Or?
Yeah.
No,
big fob.
What you experienced was a little bit different. In Iraq, it was a FOB. I think it was Warhorse, which was a large FOB, and you got all the nice treats like a chow hall.
2 gyms.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it was, man. I mean, we did patrols.
Like the chews with air conditioning?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was nice.
I gained like 30 pounds of muscle on that before.
Got it.
We all came
Instead
back
of
ripped.
losing like 30 pounds of
the
muscle and
exact
sustenance
opposite,
climbing
yeah.
mountains.
Yeah. Same thing though, man. I mean, we did patrols
Yeah.
daily, just not a lot of activity.
And for the people that don't know, a FOB is a forward operating base, right? And a COP is a combat outpost. So probably some things you'll hear a little bit throughout our conversation, just so you know. And, I think was that the deployment, that the bridge was out on and stuff like that?
Yeah, yeah. So there wasn't a lot of I guess
It
activity
wasn't
in terms
kinetic,
of,
yeah. It wasn't like a kinetic environment.
but we did have a few accidents. One
Yeah.
of those involved my squad leader, Sergeant Selge, and Jordan Shea, who were both ended up passing away after their truck went over a bridge. So yeah, that was a big event for a lot of people because, I mean, I'm sure you heard Sergeant Selge's
Oh
name
yeah.
throughout, and
Never had the privilege of meeting them and getting to spend time with them, but from guys that I respect greatly and really taught me everything I know. Guys like you and Zach and Jimmy and all the NCOs when I got there. Talked about that. Those two guys in particular. Were kind of like an example. You know what I mean?
I think
for
yeah,
other people.
we lucked out, man, because I think you can attest to this as well. Sergeant Selge, Jimmy Harris, Sergeant Barber, like those guys were like pivotal in my growth in the Army. And I mean, I remember being a private and everybody would get done with PT, and then Sergeant Selge would be like, "Oh, we're gonna do 2 PTs. We're gonna do PT in the morning and then the afternoon." I was like, "What is this, man?"
I used to get my NCOs in trouble because I used to go train with you guys because the guys I was under like weren't really doing anything,
Yeah.
and you guys would be learning and doing stuff, and I would sneak over and go, and then I got them in trouble multiple times. Or they're like, "Why are you with that other platoon?" And I was like, my NCO's kind of not really teaching me anything. So
No, they were great, man.
That's
They're great.
awesome. That's
Barber
awesome.
was crazy too. He came over to our platoon after. He really shook things up pretty quick.
I remember getting, when I first got to the unit and you come out of basic training and like you're feeling pretty good. You know what I mean? You're like, well, that sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But
Things should get better now.
yeah, you're like, oh, this is gonna be great. Like everything's gonna be fine. And because me having the last name Sargent at basic training, like,
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say that any name besides Sargent is what I was called for 18 weeks. They'd just walk by and like throw my mail at me like, I'm not calling you that. But I remember getting there and feeling like I was in pretty good shape and stuff, and then find out I'm going to ACO, which even incoming privates that don't know anything, I mean, everyone, you kind of get an idea just from everybody talking about like where you want to go,
Yeah.
like where you want to end up and stuff. And for me, getting ACO and then second platoon and, like I just landed in the best imaginable spot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I was getting at was like I got there and felt like I was in this great shape. Like I was in the best shape I had ever been in my life and everything. And I just remember like the first day of PT, like you do so many pull-ups, where eventually you're like, all right,
Can't keep going.
there's no way everyone else can keep doing pull-ups either. You know what I mean? Like, and then they do, and you're like, it's just a whole new level. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it basic training gets you ready, but then it's just a whole new level when you get there. Why don't we kind of tell everybody what we did, in the Army? I know we were all infantry and everything like that, but Mike, we'll start with you this time. How'd you end up in the Army and what made you want to be infantry, or did you want to do something else and just kind of ended up there? That's what happened to me.
I was a bit of a mess in high school, but I always wanted to serve. And I actually tried when I was 17, and my parents, we went to the recruiting center, and I was like, I just want to be infantry. And my parents were like, we're not signing with anything then. So I had to wait till, I think I joined just after my 18th birthday. I ended up doing 11 years, 9 years in the infantry, and then my last 3 years was on recruiting duty. But I actually found recently, when my grandfather passed, we found his discharge orders from World War II, and then we found his father's discharge orders from World War I, so I have them all.
That's
all our
pretty cool.
discharges now. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is super cool.
So I always used to sit with my grandpop, and he would tell me about World War II. I just always wanted to serve. So it was the best thing for me. I was a bit of a wild child, so it settled me down for sure.
Yeah, join the club on that one. What about you, Skyler? Similar.
Yeah, similar. Same with Mike. I mean, every one in my family was in the military. Yeah. So, I mean, every male in my family was in the military at least. Sister served as well. So I joined right after high school. It was always my intention that I wanted to join infantry. Although I did show up to a recruiting station, and they're like, "What about maybe you want to be an MP, Patriot missile systems?" I was like, "No, man. I want to be in the war."
I got 30K. Did you get a bonus?
I did. I got 20K. That was during the surge, man. They were handing them out.
I literally got nothing.
Thank you for your service.
And yeah. And mine was even worse. I was going 68 whiskey, showed up to MEPS to like not like initial MEPS, like the MEPS where you're leaving.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, we gave away all the billets, or they're not called billets in the Army, but you know what I'm talking about.
Slots,
yeah, we gave all the recs away for 68 whiskey this month. Like, you're gonna have to come back. And I was like, I can't do that, you know. And then they kind of sat me down. They're like, well, hey, we got all these jobs. You can still leave, and like truck driver, I don't know, assistant, you know what I mean? Like, just like all these different random jobs, and infantry was on there, and they're like, you can leave today. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. And yeah, that's how I got there.
That's what, man, I think they called it the quick ship bonus. Like, if you signed up, they'd give you 20K if you left, what was it, in like a month?
Mine was 7 days. I was out in 7 days.
Yeah.
I went up, and they were like, we'll ship you right now, and they give you that $29,000, and then they're like, but you're leaving in 7 days. It's like, good.
Yeah. I would have been like, that's fine.
Yeah, but so joined. Again, that's what I wanted to do. I was always watching the movies online, you know, and all the news about Iraq, and I don't know, got intrigued by it.
Band of Brothers. That one got me too.
It was popular back then.
Yeah.
So joined in. Obviously went through the progressions like all of us did here. Started off actually as an RTO.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know what that is, it's the radio telephone operator, and you basically follow around the PL all the time and make all of his little important phone calls for him. So that was fun to do as a private, and went up to end up as squad leader. Weapon squad leader, best squad.
That's right.
Unlike first and second squad, we're trash.
I got out at the highest rank though, so
well, that's
I was
'cause you stayed
promotable.
in,
No big deal.
Well, in that, in that regard, who like, did you guys join around the same time? You know what I mean? Like, did you guys get to the
I
unit
think we were
around the
basic
same time?
together,
Basic
right?
together.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not at the same unit though,
Right,
But we
right.
were there at the same time.
So we
Okay.
showed up actually. Michael was probably the second night I was there. It was myself and Patrick, and Mike came walking down the hallway. We kind of started chatting. I think we went to Seattle that night, and friendship ever since.
Basically found what were we both like 18, 19, and just like, who's drinking? Get some booze.
Yeah. God, we'll get into it later, some of the best times of my life. Easily.
Yeah.
Still this
That
day.
old barracks.
Just in general, like, just I don't know, I feel like we were super fortunate. Like, we just had a group of guys that, like, I mean, like, everybody serves together. You care about everybody because they're doing the same thing you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're making the same sacrifices. But then you also, like, I think, what we all do and stay in contact is pretty special. Like, everyone's going their separate ways and living their life, but we, still got a group thread with that. What's it up to now? I mean,
11, I think.
yeah, I mean, and we all, cut up on there and try and plan trips to get together and everything like that. And,
It is unique too, man, because I mean, I have buddies that I grew up with that, served, and they didn't have a similar experience. They don't have the same relationships that we did. So,
Do you think that like some of that is, and I know there's obviously some science and stuff behind it too, like a shared suck experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we, not that,
Even before deployment, though, like I felt like
Oh,
we're all
yeah.
pretty close before then anyway.
Yeah.
but to like the point of earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like the platoon you guys were in, the squad you were in, like that, those were, you're doing a little bit more than the average bear there at the time, you know what I mean? And like I remember remember when we had those like clay slim rounds and what was that fake little city they had set up there?
Leshy Town.
Yeah. It for those of you that don't know, it's literally like playing Call of Duty in real life. You know what I mean? You're running around with the same weapon systems that we'd use in country, and they just got these clay rounds that hurt like sin when they hit you. Like just could not hurt worse. But yeah. But let's let's take it back a little bit and start tying some of the stuff together. So, we were all at the unit together. Like I said, I got there in late summer 2010, and then we deployed right before Christmas 11, right?
Yeah. Were you? I can't remember if you were on Advon.
Like going over early.
Yeah.
I was not.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
were
so-
though, right?
I did. We went there. We went with the intention of doing driver's training. So I brought a bunch of our new guys out there, and then we got to CAF, and they were like, "Oh, there's no driver's training." Like, what do you mean? I mean, we just
Surprise.
We just flew here, so from the United States, and no, so we did do some training there, and then flew out to see Troy early,
Yeah.
which was unique as well.
Yeah.
We can talk about that later.
That was such night and day, those deployments.
Yeah.
Iraq, I didn't fire a single round. Afghanistan, day 2, I was there. It was a huge firefight. I was like, oh, okay.
Is that when we
This
took
is real.
is that when we took Sargent Major and them out? You guys remember that? Like our first
We were supporting 1st Platoon on the wall. Remember they went out
yeah.
and they got in that big firefight and
Yeah.
then just basically started the whole deployment like that. I was like, oh, okay, it's different.
Well, when we arrived on Advon, when we got there, I remember they put us into the chow hall. Remember where the chow hall was?
Oh yeah.
They didn't have any space for us, so they just were like, "Hey, we'll put you in the chow hall for now. If there's a firefight in the morning, just don't come out." And I was like, "It's a strange thing to say,
Yeah.
We're probably going to come out, but no." And then, no joke, next morning, firefight.
Yeah.
Everybody's just shooting off the wall.
I remember the first couple times engagements, I'm like real strategic with my shots and then at the end of deployment, it's just everything's getting bullets. We're just shooting everywhere.
Yeah. No, it's a fact. I remember, times where when you're on a cop like we were, stretched thin on resources is probably an understatement, and trying to have guard shifts and everything like that. So
Yeah.
you get, maybe a couple hour block to, eat, shower, shave, do everything else you got to do, clean your weapon system, plus try and get a little bit of sleep, right?
Yeah.
And I can remember just there being times where I'd be laying in my cot, just like, oh, thank God, I'm finally going to get some sleep. And then all of a sudden it's just like, and you're just laying there like, oh, no, I don't
Remember
want this
doing
to happen right now.
SOG, Sergeant of the Guard, in just the middle of the night, freezing in Afghanistan and walking up, and every single guy was asleep up in the towers. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, man.
Just being like,
Just go up and just try to keep them company because you guys got stuck up there. We didn't have to pull that type of guard.
yeah,
So,
we had to work for a living. I get it. I'm joking. But no, I mean, probably makes me sound like a little bit of a shitbag to say this, but I can remember one time distinctly where I walked up to go take guard, and I'm standing there, and I'm literally standing, and we had a long patrol that day or whatever, hadn't really ate, definitely hadn't slept, and I remember I was like, hey, you're relieved, and I'm standing there, and you could rest your magazine kind of on your kit, right? And I'm just sitting there holding it. And the next thing I know, like 15 minutes later, somebody's coming walking up the steps, and I'm looking because, to your point about Sergeant of the Guard, if you're a good soldier, you don't want to get caught, doing something you shouldn't do. And they're like, hey, man, you're relieved. And I'm like, nah, dude, you're at the wrong tower. Like, I just got here 15 minutes ago. He's like, no, bro. Like, you've been up here for 6 hours or something. And I was like, what?
Man.
Like, and I was standing up the entire time. Never sat down, nothing. But,
How dare you?
That was tough. I felt for you guys up there. That's why I always made a point, like, to walk and sit and kind of bullshit with them, especially at night when it's freezing and you guys haven't slept all day.
Yeah.
Because, like, people would get super mad. Like, you catch a guy dozing or whatever, but it's just...
Well, people don't realize, too, like, you talk about it being super cold, right? Like, a lot of people think about the Middle East and desert and
It was freezing.
Afghanistan. Oh, I mean,
So
the
cold.
coldest I've ever been.
Yes.
The coldest I've ever been, actually, was when we did that air assault into the Helmand province. And
that was
just
torture.
Those dirty, just like goat poop and pee infested blankets that we just...
carpets. They were carpets.
Oh, God. And we just rolled up in them trying to stay warm. Remember we had
a few lessons learned from that one, man.
Oh, that was
Because
horrible.
I remember we had a great plan, we thought,
Yeah.
before going with the... what did we have?
I've never been colder in my life.
Well, we had a great plan if there had been the 1,000 fighters there waiting, like they said was going to be there. We land, nobody's there.
Yeah.
And we got these several 100 pounds of sleds of just ammo and no cold weather gear, no
Body bags.
no
They
food.
dropped off all the body bags.
Yeah. Then we think they're dropping off supplies. It's just like 100,000 body bags. You're like, all right, great.
It was like 27 degrees that night when we got in there. And we were all wearing no cold weather stuff because we thought we were going into combat immediately.
Yep.
And then instead, we just almost all froze to death. It was terrible.
And it was like days we got stuck there because the air went bad, right? We had to, we bought a goat. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Fun times.
I know, right? Crazy. But, so we were all in the Army together and had a great time. And then, I got married right before I got out, right? And, my good buddy Mike came.
I came down.
Yeah, my good buddy Mike came. I appreciate that, Mike.
Apparently, allegedly robbed a gas station at the end of the night.
Let's not put that in this podcast. Can we take that out?
Listen, when they came and knocked on my door the next day, they're like, "Is there a short Italian man and a tall balding gentleman in your group here at this wedding?" And in my mind, I'm like, "Yes, there is." And I can't remember. You guys were down, crashed in some other room, and come to find out, it wasn't even you guys. There literally was, another small Italian man and tall balding.
That's good to know because we did wake up and there was chips everywhere. There was like all this stuff in the room. I was like, "Did we?"
Yeah.
I kind of think we would do that.
Nah, ended up not even being you guys. Yeah, coincidence, huh?
Yeah.
But so, I got out. I went into mechanical trade. Well, really didn't know what I was going to do. I tried about 10 different things, within a 6-month period. And then, my wife talked me to going into the mechanical trade and lucked out, met Kirk through my uncle, and then got into the industry and right place, right time, right people all the time. I was super fortunate, have had a ton of people really lift me up in the industry and help me and, take me to places that I'm super fortunate that programs I've got to be a part of, businesses I've got to be a part of. I've just been super fortunate. And, then we started Overwatch in 2019, but before that, what year was it that we all got together in La Jolla Shores there for Jose? Because that was really kind of when we all really like reconnected. Wouldn't you guys agree?
2020 March.
Right
'Cause
before COVID.
It was February, yeah. And then, yeah, because when I got home, I went food shopping and everyone had masks on and there was no food on the shelves. I was like, what happened? What did I miss?
while we were gone
Yeah.
in our own little celebratory world. Yeah. That's wild. But so yeah, we all got together there, met. So our buddy Jose, if you follow any of the DCAC stuff or the Overwatch stuff, you've seen Jose. He was our first veteran ambassador, triple amputee, one of the most inspiring guys you could ever meet, in my opinion. I mean, has not let any of what happened to him slow him down. He's an inspiration for me, and as I know he is for you guys too. But so we all got together there because he was surfing in the World Paralympic Championships, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then at the time, Skyler, you were the first. You're really the first OVITA, that has. It makes me feel good because, Kirk helped me out and got me in and really put me in a good spot and to be able to work with you guys again and things like that really means a lot to me. And but what were you doing and kind of how'd the transition go for you?
Yeah, man. So I think pretty similar to most guys getting out. I mean, there are those few that know exactly what they want to do, right?
Right.
And I'm envious of those guys. But I got out. I knew that I wanted to go to school. So enrolled, started down the path of a business degree. In the middle of that, I started doing volunteer firefighting. And I kind of, I guess, I won't say went astray, but started to go down the path of becoming a firefighter. I was part of a FEST program, so it's a fire and emergency service program that the college had that I was going to. So went through that, volunteered for about a year and a half, made another pivot, went back to school to finish my business degree. Went to Central Washington University to wrap that up and, work some jobs just to not be bored.
Sure.
During that. But I think after I graduated, I think I hopped on your LinkedIn and you reached out to me immediately and we were actually talking about how we were going to go meet up with Jose.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's where it all kind of began, like you said. And we talked about Overwatch and what you were doing. I think it's the first time I actually heard what a data center was.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and like I
Yeah.
think I remember you were talking about like you had looked at companies like Blue Origin and SpaceX and just kind of like technology project management really
Exactly.
kind of interested you.
Yeah, man, I'll touch on that too because I love tech. I was more focused on like wanting to be a project manager for like a Blue Origin or SpaceX or something like that, just because I was interested in those areas. But I always thought it was pretty crazy how I guess Overwatch kind of landed in my lap and you connected with me because they kind of go hand in hand, right? I mean,
Right.
same stuff, mission critical. So, yeah, it's been exciting.
Yeah, definitely. And it was kind of we were in a perfect situation for you to be the first one and come in. And I remember talking to Kirk and we knew when we started the company that helping vets transition and stuff was going to be our missions to help our clients unleash their technology, but our purpose really was we wanted to be able to help vets transition and do things like that. And so you came on board and we were working on a project that it really allowed you to get a lot of one-on-one time with myself and Nathan and Mackenzie and Kirk and others and you really you got thrown right in and got the fire hose, and you know, we kind of taught you the language along the way, but
Yeah.
you really jumped in and you know, helped start dealing with a lot of things. And yeah, we'll come back to that and talk a little bit more about, you know, how that transition's been for you, and
Absolutely.
you know, getting into the project management. And then so Mike, then you trying to remember exactly how
I'll be honest,
it
when
all
you first
started.
told me about it, you were like offering a job. I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I was a little bit skeptic because I was like, oh, I know I'd kept in touch with Skyler quite a bit and then some other guys, but me and you hadn't talked in quite a while.
Yeah,
And then just kind of offered me a job. I was like, I don't know about all that.
yeah,
And then when Skyler jumped on, and I was in grad school, I think, at the time,
yep.
or about to start, and I was pretty set in that ways, but then I got burnt out, and
And
just gave you a
what
call.
what were you going for again? And you know, yours was a little bit different. You stayed in for quite a
Yeah.
bit after Skylar and I were out. So
I did
like,
11 years, yeah.
yeah, and I know you were doing the recruiting and stuff like that. But then so you did some school while you were recruiting also, right? And
That's when I kind of realized on recruiting duty, I started knocking out some college in order to get promoted to 7, and I was getting like straight A's, and I was like, oh, maybe school is an option for me because I was never very studious in school and like high school and stuff. But I took a year to decide, like, am I going to stay in and do career or get out? I did like a legit pros and cons written down on a piece of paper and like took my time because I had to tell the Army. They were like, we're going to promote you to 7, but you got to re-enlist.
right,
And I had to tell them no. So it was a big decision. So that was one of the toughest decisions I had to make. And then I went straight to school. I got a degree, exercise science, with a minor in psych. And then I started grad school, and I just got burnt out from school.
right.
And Skyler had said, you know, like he was really enjoying it.
Yeah.
He said, like, there's a lot of opportunity in this industry. You know, I was like, I don't even know what a data center is. He's like, it's not really that. And then you guys kind of dropped me off as well. And it just was like, just give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
And it really was. So
It's leadership and courage, right? Like you know, our industry has a lot of really smart people. We work with a lot of really smart people every day. What our industry needs with supply chain issues and labor issues and things like that, you know, is somebody that has the leadership and courage to define what those issues are and then talk about them and you know, have a tough conversation in a appropriate professional manner and be able to sit down with teams and you know, really find a solution, right? I mean, Kirk talks about it on a sub, and we could talk about it, you know, from the perspective of, you know, being in a poppy field, you know, in a firefight, right? Like you have to figure it out. There is no other option,
Yeah.
right? It's, you know, you have to figure it out.
Stock introduced me to a lot of people last night at DCAC.
Yeah.
And they kept asking me the same question. They were like, you know, you've only been in the space for a short period of time, but you're doing really well. Like, what's the secret? I said, like, I take the customer's intent, like, what do you need done? And then get with the vendor, and then we work out the specifics and execute.
Right.
And that's something we do as NCOs in the Army every day.
Right.
You know, officers give us their intent, and then we go and execute.
That's
and
right.
that's something that we bring to the table. Even though we don't have it, I didn't have an experience in the space, but like someone can tell me, hey, we need to do this by this date. And then I get with the person who knows, the vendor, and we work out the plan. And that's exactly what I do every day.
Yeah, I've told people, you know, it's time, money, and people, right? That is what we have to manage. And when I say that, we have schedules we have to maintain, we have budgets we have to maintain, and you know, we have teams that need to be led, that need a strong communicator that can come in and you know, define the processes within the project and really help guide the rest of the team to be successful. and yeah, like you said, I mean, you've been in for 6 months, right? And the particular client you work for now, they want you on their programs. Even the experience conversation went out the window, and I think that's a real testament to the transitioning of NCOs or officers into the mission critical space, is that I have not had a client of Overwatches that has not been, just ecstatic with the military individual that's been put on their program. And like you said, it's not always from the technical aspect. It's a leadership aspect, or the, just simply caring aspect, right? But Skyler, let's jump back over to you real quick. So, you you were lucky that you got to be with us for about a year, and really get you got to spend a lot of time with Nathan, and Nathan's a mentor of mine. I mean, one of the best dudes in the industry, in my opinion.
Great guy.
And just amazing human being.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know you got to spend a lot of time with him, but then right after that, Big Boy World went to your own project with a whole new team and group of people. How was that for you? And I know that it wasn't always easy, but just like we talked about, you figure out a way to make it work, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't expect it to be easy, I think, ever.
Right.
But I think, like you said, hopping from the product that we were on previously to this one was a jump. But I mean, we've discussed this numerous times. Like, if you're gonna learn, you're gonna have to make some mistakes, right?
That's right.
And you got to put your big boy shoes on, and
Big boy pants.
yeah, wear my big boy pants today.
Yeah.
And get through it. Obviously, like the technical side of things, that's something that's going to be picked up along the way,
Right.
and through making some of those mistakes. But I think I'm also fortunate enough to be on a project with a team that, they're excellent.
Right.
And I'm not going to name drop people, but I have the opportunity to get advice from people on that team and get help where I need it. So it's been awesome, man. I've learned a lot, and I forgot who I was talking to. It was last week, and it was Nathan, actually, and we were kind of running through an issue that I was having, and yeah, it was probably, been there probably 8 months now.
Yeah.
So in that time period, I guess the amount of information and knowledge that I was able to pick up just from kind of running through the motions, and I guess experience some of the problems that I was having on the site, I was able to communicate that in an effective way, whereas like 6 months ago, man, like wouldn't even be possible, because I didn't know what I know now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is too, and we talk about this with a lot of our vets that are transitioning into the space, and it's that you really don't realize, or at least at the time that you're filling out resumes and stuff through your transition, you don't realize the skills that you actually do gain in the military, whether it be from communication like that,
Yeah.
or like you said, very used to getting a list of tasks that need to be completed that day and knocking them off, right? And that discipline and those skills are something that you really you gain a lot of in the military, and you don't realize how well it can transition into a role like this. And especially with combat guys in construction management in particular, construction is controlled chaos a lot of times too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have supply chain issues, you have schedule issues, manpower issues, and you got to find a way to make it all work, right? Because at the end of the day, schedules and stuff matter to all of our clients. But yeah, so you made that jump into the what I call a big boy seat on a big boy project, and what I think's cool is you two in particular. One of you works for an owner operator, one of you works for an end user, right? So two super unique experiences where you're each seeing each side of the coin, which is super cool, right? Like there's a lot of people in our space that never get the opportunity to see both sides of that coin, and so it can be exciting and nervous, but you guys have done awesome with it. And yeah, Mike, you kind of went right into the fire day one, and that's probably putting it lightly,
That was the best thing to do, to be honest with you. Sink or swim. Get in there and make yourself useful.
That's right.
I asked my dad, I just said, we're a small company. I was like, going to be out on my own. And he's like, just bring value to the customer. And he's like, you'll figure out the job. I said, okay. That's kind of just figuring out what I can do and bring value. So yeah, it's been interesting.
I think, I don't know if we can curse on here, but like you said earlier, man, like, and it's said all the time in the military, like act like you give a shit.
Yeah.
Right. And we all know, there's like two different types of people in the Army. There's those that want to succeed, want to go to all the schools, just want to do the best that they can, right? And then some that, maybe they just want to go to college, or whatever it may be. But showing up and caring, about your project, about what needs to be done, I think is one of the most important things, right? And if you can do that, I feel like you're going to bring value because you care.
Right. No, I agree completely. When we talk about the transition and transitioning, out of the military and into a different space and stuff, like me, I didn't transfer right into the data center industry right away either, and I know you guys didn't, and for me, when I got out, it was stressful, right? I had gotten married before I got out. Spent 9 months still back at Fort Lewis, and came back home, and my wife's ready to pop out a baby, and I just remember getting out and my son being born, and making like $8.25 an hour. You know what I mean? After going from E4 pay with BAH because I was married, you know what I mean? And first sergeant and them were cool and let me stay in the barracks, but still collect the, well, and
allegedly.
Allegedly. But, we should clarify too, like, we had some awesome senior NCOs too, that, especially through deployment and coming back. And, I think it's fair to say it was, maybe an above average deployment from a kinetic standpoint. And I think that, got lucky through the way I was able to transition out, where they let me go to the meetings and everything like that. But even, I guess my point to that is I was given the opportunity, right, to go to all those things, and I did, because I was an E4 ready to get out of the military. I didn't want to go to this detail or that detail, so I went to every transition class that I could. Yeah. And I guess my point is, even having done all that, it was still super hard. You know what I mean? It was.
It prepares you, right?
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, it's not going to make a decision for you, or
no.
It can help you get in the right direction, but there's still that gap where you're trying to figure out what exactly is right for you. Right.
I realized pretty quickly I need to stay busy.
Yeah.
I had 3 months of ETS leave. I lasted maybe 3 weeks. I went and got a job because I was like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Right.
Like, I'm in school full time, but like that wasn't enough. Like I needed more.
Yeah, I think that goes into I mean, what we talk about a lot, like having a purpose, and
Yeah.
getting out and kind of losing that purpose is a tough thing for a lot of guys, getting out of the military, in
Yeah.
my opinion. I know I struggled with it, because just going to school, I obviously feel like I'm bettering myself in terms of getting an education, but at the same time, I'm like, I want to put it to use. I want to do something, you know, and you get a lot of value from having purpose,
Right.
and it was rough, not having that in transition, and I think what Overwatch is doing, right, is providing a purpose for a lot of people, and so are a lot of other companies.
Definitely.
But that is that's the hard part. Purpose.
Yeah. And we'll go back to transitioning in a second, but you just said something that I think is important to stop and talk on too. Is we're here and fortunate enough that the three of us can sit down together because
Yeah.
we're all working on different things, but we are here for DCAC and Anthony and the Spark team and everyone running really the bulk of the vets transition and through Overwatch are just doing an awesome job. Like the Anchors of Hope thing, they transitioned 34 veterans, in that time period, and just the support that the program and everything has received from the rest of the industry. I mean, can't thank those groups enough.
Yeah.
At DCAC this week, it's DataBank and then IES and TLD Consulting. I mean, ECI. All these different groups that really leaned in and brought in some veterans. It's a big deal, and I just want to make sure, told those guys that we appreciate them and appreciate them supporting our mission. But, going back to the being scared and nervous and everything in transition, I finally, I can distinctly remember I was like working on a rooftop unit and it was like -30 or something like that. And I was just thinking in my head, like, this is just not what I want to do.
What am I doing?
Yeah, like this is just not what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And but what I was wanting to get to, because I think it played a lot into your guys' decision too, is here I was, a dad. My second was on the way, and I was doing decent for having transitioned and trying to hang in there. I was working at a mechanical contractor, and I was able to pay the bills and stuff like that, but my family was growing, and the opportunity that was offered to me, which I hope that we made the transition a little bit smoother for you guys, is it was I had to go and I'd work on a project for 30 days. I'd go home for 3, and then I'd go back for 30 more.
Yeah.
I remember sitting down with my wife, and after you just get out of the military, it's like, God, I'm going to take another job that keeps me away from my friends, keeps me away from my family. And that's another scary decision to make, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys had to make the same decision. And, so yeah, you got to have the courage to take the chance and to take the leap into doing something different, because you're capable of more than you think you are,
Yeah.
right? And it's not until we're faced with annihilation that we thrive, right? And it was a different type of annihilation, right? It's jumping into something that you know nothing about, and it's like, well, your family's going to depend on this, so it's sink or swim time, right? So like, I know with you, Skyler, you were married as well, and talk a little bit about, it's not an easy decision to make, to drop what, you went to school for all this stuff, you were working at a job, and, yeah, here's a buddy you spent, a bunch of years with, but then again, let's be honest, the buddy spent some years with a couple years ago, a little bit different now, it's probably like, oh, gonna jump into Jesse's got wild hair.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it wasn't that hard of a decision for me, and that's just because I think I had a little bit of time to think about it and digest it. We had talked about it a few times, and I did some research, and I was like, this is almost exactly what I want to do. I knew I wanted to be a project manager. I was going in that direction. It was just like, where am I going to go? Where do I want to go? And obviously, yeah, I mean, we've spent a ton of time together, in some unique circumstances.
Sure.
So I obviously have quite a bit of trust for my buddy Jesse Sargent. So, I mean, talk with my wife about it. She knew that I was excited to do it, and she had no objections. So, sign me up.
Right.
And yeah, been high speed ever since.
Good, dude. And Mike, you were maybe even a little bit more of a drastic change, right? Like you were, I don't know, you were about to be a doctor or some shit.
It's Dr. Maggio, by the way. I did. I thought I could power through and get a master's in 5.5 years. And I made it one semester of grad school, and I was burnt. I passed all my classes, but I was like, there's no way I'm going another semester. So that was when I reached out to you, and I was like, hey, I think I'm ready. Come to work.
Yeah. And, the good thing about the OVITA program, which is really what you guys came in on and why we're doing this podcast, and OVITA is, Overwatch Veteran in Transition Apprenticeship. And it's not perfect, but it is a program that brings you in and it gets you immersed in the industry. And, you earn a CDCP. You got yours, Skyler.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
It was.
And then, Mike, you're studying for yours right now.
I've
right?
started it, yeah.
Yeah. And, it obviously not end all be all, but it, gives a little bit of credibility that you're, not, Joe Schmo coming in off the street. And we've been fortunate. We've had a member from every branch of the military go through OVITA now. We're going to be looking for another one here soon. Shout out to anybody that was in Alpha Company 520. If you want to jump into some data center stuff and you're checking out this podcast because your boys here posted it, give us a call, because we're looking for one. And but yeah, so my point to all that was it's not always the easiest decision, right? Like you said, when you get out, you don't know what you're doing. Your mind's going a million different directions. And I think that, I would just want to challenge our buddies that are out there. And if they're not happy with what they're doing or they want to do something else, I'd imagine you guys would tell them like, hey, it's okay to take that chance. Like, come try out this industry, because it's, I think the other thing that's unique about our industry, and you guys would probably agree because you guys did other things in between too, like what a awesome industry. You know what I mean? Just like I've never done something where I genuinely have so many good people that I engage with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like gives me as a group of guys who have seen the worst the world has to offer. You know what I mean? Like, it's refreshing to work with people that, I don't know, give you hope for humanity every day. You know what I mean?
And it's exciting too, right? Because, I mean, there's just so much potential. I mean, lots of people get into careers, and it's going to be the same stagnant thing throughout, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, what's going to happen in 5 years from now? I mean, it's going to be different from what we're doing right now, And it's just cool. Like, you're supporting literally the internet and everything that gets put onto it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you guys were talking about earlier when trying to describe what it is that we do and everything like that. And you're like, all right, they talk about the cloud. It's not actually a cloud. You know what I mean? It's a building on the ground. and trying to explain that to people. And you're right. Like, some people are just like, had no idea. You know what I mean? I honestly, when I first started, and Kirk laughs about it and tells people all the time, like, I fumbled all over myself on my interview with him. And I knew that it was bad, you know? and at the end, I just told him, I was like, dude, just give me a chance and I will outwork anybody you got.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to know anything, but I'll be the first one there and the last one to leave.
Yeah.
And you guys both did that, the same. And I think that I want more veterans to understand, like, they have that mentality too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That is a skill set that is learned in the military.
Ingrained.
Yes. Yeah. Muscle memory.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can do this too and make the transition and reach out, because the opportunities are endless. I mean, Skyler, you've been on a couple different programs now, and I can't tell you, how many people come up to me from, your client, and they're like, listen, what a dude, what a hire. And it, things like that make me feel really good. And the same thing with you, Mike, right? Like, it's every single person I talk to is like, it's exactly what we need. And, I think back to, the Army and running around, Tacoma and Seattle with you guys. And if us three can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, like, it's just...
You said it. The opportunity in this space is unbelievable. Yeah. Like, I came in, you guys were phone calls and texts away, but it's like, get in there and start, making decisions and doing all this stuff. But there's so much work. They want to keep giving you more and more responsibility, et cetera. Like, I was really surprised in that, because it just, like I said, it went from 0 to 100, where I was just kind of learning real quick. And then it's like, boom, you're full blown. You're starting a bunch more. Like, we trust you to do this. And I love it. That's something that will be tough to do probably in any other industry, I imagine, to be able to come in and then someone prove yourself a little bit and then trust you, say, hey, we're going to get you to run these things. And you need to make timelines, you need to make money, all that stuff right there. It's awesome.
Oh, the exponential threat to our industry is people. We simply don't have the people to keep up. Nobody does. You see it in, labor issues with the subcontractors. And like, I don't envy those guys right now. They're in a tough spot. They're trying to find people to finish programs that they, make commitments on, because this whole industry is, based a lot on just doing what you say you're going to do. You know what I mean? If you say you're going to be done at this time, then, be done. And we're fortunate that we got a lot of different contractors and partners and stuff in this industry that's exactly what they do. And, we're finding that the mentality and everything of OVITA candidates and people transitioning out of the military fit within those roles and organizations pretty well. What would you guys say, has been, what's had the largest impact for you guys in your lives since making the transition, right? Is it, Skyler, you talked about having a purpose and things like that, and it's super critical. It was for me too, right? But, was it that? Was it, feeling the security of being in a new industry and realizing that it's growing and that there's growth opportunities? Or, like, for me, I'd be honest, like, the pay helped me out a lot with my growing family and everything like that. And, with that comes sacrifices of traveling on the road. You guys both travel as well. So it's not, there are some things, just like any job in life or any opportunity in life, that there's a little bit of adversity, and you got to find a way to work around it. But what in your guys' transition, what really helped the most? What made you guys feel the best about your transition?
I think, I mean, you said it, man. Purpose. Like, that's what I was seeking. And it was the one thing that I guess was important to me, and that's kind of like being a man too. Like, you want to be aligned with some sort of goal, with some sort of, I guess, job that you feel good about.
Right.
And like we said earlier, like, not everybody gets that opportunity, and getting that was the one thing I wanted. And also getting that in an industry where I feel like there's going to be endless opportunity, and there's going to be endless amounts of new knowledge to gain in it, because things change every day.
Right.
And that's all exciting. So it's not only, you got a job, and you're 9 to 5, but like, you can get involved, right? Like, you can do as much as you want here, I feel like.
Oh yeah.
And I just feel like the outlook is exciting.
Right.
I feel good about what I'm doing. So that's what's important to me.
Yeah.
And that's what's made me feel the most comfortable about my decision.
Right.
For me, it was honestly the surprise. I've told a couple friends and family, they asked me, like, how's it going? I was like, it's like, for my skills I learned in the military, and then also from my dad, like, a hard work ethic that he instilled in me at a young age, I was like, it just fits. I was like, I came in project number 1, I'm already watching things. I was like, I know, how I can speed these things up or fix some things. I gave it a project to kind of just get my feet under me. And then after that, the next one, I'm just going. Like, I already know what I want to do, when, etc. And I just realized pretty quickly, I was like, this is a good fit for me.
Right.
So that was a surprise, but it also made me super happy, because I made this jump to come work with you guys. So,
Right.
there was quite a bit of, like, I was nervous. I was like, what if, I'm just not a good PM, or I don't really understand, etc. But I knew pretty much right away. I was like, oh, I know what I need to do.
Yeah.
And that was exciting, because then I see all the opportunity in this space and how you guys have set us up. I was like, I think I could be successful here. So.
Yeah. And for you, it was a big decision too, because like, you're like the Tommy Callahan of data center industries, right? Like, your dad's like the man. And
My dad he's my hero. I remember growing up, I don't know what he did, but he worked in a warehouse, and then when he turned 65, he ended up buying that company with some investors. So seeing him doing what he did, and he's always said, he's like, you need a job.
Yeah.
He's like, you can come work for me. I own the company. I'm
Right,
like, I know.
right.
It's like, I kind of want to do, on my own and make my way. So, Tommy Callahan. He loves it, though.
You ever ask a butcher what a T-bone looks like?
He always keeps up. He's so excited. I'm like in the business space now, and he's always asking me, how's it going? What's the customers like? What are the vendors like? Because he lives through all that stuff. So,
Right.
And he's given me some really good advice too, how to speak to people, how to set up meetings, small things. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
And Skyler, not that long ago, you and I went with your dad and did a cool little kayaking trip where rained on us and we slept on an island. And
Yeah, I think what we envisioned of that trip might have been a little different from what it turned into.
we definitely didn't have the right sleeping bag.
We didn't plan accordingly. I feel like my dad had it all set
You
up.
needed a bivvy sack probably, right? Keep it out of the water. Was it soaked?
Listen, we had fleece sleeping bags.
They weigh 500 pounds and they got wet.
Well, I don't even think we used them, because it was just, I think I used mine as a pillow, soggy pillow.
Pretty sure my dad was the only one that caught anything too.
Oh, yeah, like me and Skyler, two at least younger ex-Army guys, just sucking, hauling up our kayaks and everything like that, soaking wet, not the right gear, anything like that. Skyler's dad's already like got a fire going, sitting in a little chair, like with all of his rain gear on. Like, you boys, all right? It was a good time, and I think that for me, I really appreciate you guys, believing in me and giving me a chance, because without guys like you, I may not even be sitting here. Like the experiences we had in the military, and just what I learned from you guys as NCOs, and work ethic and things like that. And my dad as well. Told me to keep my mouth shut and my head on a swivel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what I tried to do, and helped I was a little bit older too. But it to see you guys come in and do well and get to be involved with your families, and it, I don't know, makes me feel good. Glad to be doing this with you guys, and just happy that it worked out the way that it did, because for me personally, I immersed myself in this work when I got out of the Army, and I think that part of the reason I was able to thrive in it was because of the purpose, and I had a team again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I had more than just me. I had Kirk, and I came into a situation where I had Kirk, Anthony, Nathan, Brian Octon, all these different people that taught me different things, and Mike Maldari, and just been super fortunate everywhere I hopped, and the fact that you guys get to be here and be part of it and see it and experience it too, makes me feel good. And it's been a great ride so far, and we're just getting started, and we hope to transition a lot more OVITA people in. And with that, we do have a conference we got to get back to soon. But in closing with you guys, what would you say to a veteran that, Mike, for you, 7 months ago, is sitting there trying to figure out, shit, I do not want to go to another semester of school, or Skyler, somebody like you that is transitioned and finishing up school, and just trying to figure out what you want to do. What advice would you guys give them, and how would you tell them to go about it?
It's a great question. I would say reach out, man.
Yeah.
Reach out to your friends. Obviously, in the Army, you're going to get out with a bunch of dudes that are going to go off and do different things, but not everybody's going to pick the same path.
Right.
But reach out. Reach out to your friends, do your research, and don't be scared to make a decision or, suffer in silence.
Take calculated risk, right?
Exactly, man. Yeah.
Just like you did in the military.
Yeah.
It's all about calculated risk.
Exactly.
What about you, Mike?
It's like someone coming in, like someone new or something like that.
Yeah, like if they're transitioning out of the service and they don't know what they're gonna do.
I think of myself when I was getting out too. So I was one of those people, I had planned out like what I was gonna do,
Yeah.
but then that all that changed a couple years later. So I would say for them, like, sit down and really look at, like, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to do? Do you want to be making a certain amount of money? Do you want to be in a certain industry, et cetera? And look at what it takes to get there, But it's something that this space provides that I think, I didn't know what a data center was before talking to you.
Right.
But, like, there's so much opportunity, and, like, they're willing, as far as I could tell, the customers, they want you to take responsibility. So veterans coming out, I know a lot of guys will have that intestinal fortitude to make decisions. So this is a space where you can really apply yourself and your skills and do well.
Right.
And do well for yourself and your family. So
Good deal. Yeah, I would say the same. look for, talk to your buddies. Understand that it's okay. You don't have to have it figured out day one. Understand it's okay that it's going to change. Probably multiple times. Did for me.
Yeah.
And, not only that, use the resources, right? I think we all probably learned over time, use the VA resources, use us, use Overwatch, reach out to us. All of us are on LinkedIn, Facebook, everything, reach out to us. Let us help with your transition and finding you a new home and a new purpose and a new team to be part of. And don't be afraid to take that leap, right?
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I hope that everyone has enjoyed getting to talk to these guys about their transition process. I want to thank Kirk and the DCAC Live team for letting us use this platform to talk about this and hopefully draw in some additional veterans into the OVITA program. And I know that I'm much more better looking than Kirk. And, if you guys enjoy this podcast, we actually are trying to make sure that this has more views and listens than anything Kirk has done, because we want the Army podcast to drastically outdo the Navy one. So if you could give us a like.
Coming for Rogan. We want Rogan spot.
Listen,
Yeah, we're getting the Rogan
Yeah, we're
numbers.
getting the Rogan numbers.
listen, Joe better watch out. You know what I mean? The three amigos will just start our own podcast and take over Joe. But I can't thank you guys enough. I love you guys. I appreciate everything you guys have done for me and trying to pay it back a little bit. And just can't thank you guys enough for being here. Thanks for supporting and believing in me and Overwatch and being here for DCAC. It's great to spend time with you guys as always. And yeah,
Same to you.
awesome guys. Well, hey, we'll catch you on the next podcast on DCAC Live. But thanks everybody, and hope you have a good time. Probably going back to see you right now at DCAC. Thanks
Thank
everybody.
you for having us, Jesse.
Yep.